Bull-NA-ChinaShop TV. Not just a YouTube channel, your main source for bull breed entertainment. I offer video services such as stud features, kennel features, and full event coverage. I also offer photography services such as puppy shoots, individual dog shoots, and full kennel shoots. You can see examples of each on any and all Bull-NA-ChinaShop social media pages. You can also see an in-depth look into my life and the American Bully lifestyle with my vlog found on the YouTube channel as well. Bull-NA-ChinaShop TV is also the home of the Bull-NA-ChinaShop podcast, a real, raw, uncut podcast dedicated to the bull breeds and the American Bully lifestyle. You can find all episodes of the Bull-NA-ChinaShop podcast, stud features, kennel features, event features, and all of the vlogs on youtube.com/Bull-NA-ChinaShop TV. Check it out and hit subscribe today.
I'm taking applications right now. I need more hands. Yo. What the fuck is going on? You amazing motherfuckers. And we are in a China shop back again. You want to advertise for someone? www.advertise my shit. Bull-NA-ChinaShop.com. What the fuck is the week? Stop taking fucking pictures of the pup. Hosted by yours truly, Ty Lowe.
Yo, you beautiful motherfuckers. It is episode 59 of the Bull-NA-ChinaShop podcast. Today, we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to do a little something different. We're not really even going to talk dogs at all today. This is going to be a breakdown of the Mayweather-McGregor fight from this weekend. I know everybody watched that shit. We've all been talking about that shit. So I called my man, Bully the Kid, Christopher James, a.k.a. BTK. I hit him up. I said, hey, let's talk some shit about this fight. He's an avid, like a real deal Mayweather fan for years. I've been a Conor McGregor fan for 5 years, probably. Even his first debut in the UFC, Dennis Seaver, all those fights. So, you know, I watch MMA. I watch boxing. Obviously, Bully, you watch boxing. You watch a little bit of MMA also when you get to see the. Do you buy any pay-per-views or anything for boxing or MMA?
Man, I've always bought boxing pay-per-views, man. It was something that came from my grandfather, man, from Sweet Pea days and Mike Tyson days. We were always watching boxing. So pay-per-views gotten a lot of money from the Bennett Hightower family for many years, many decades. They've been taking our dough.
Yo, they said there was 100 million illegal live streams of this fight this weekend.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm wondering what they're going to do to crack down on the illegal. Like, I'm waiting for the Facebook blow up for it to happen because there's no way it's stealing. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? It's stealing. Like,
oh yeah, you're live streaming $100 fight. You know, like that cost $100, and you're live streaming it too. I seen the one live stream on Facebook had 32,000 people watching just the one live stream.
Yes.
I was like, yo, that's
so
like
who do you punish?
crazy.
Do you punish Facebook or do you punish the people?
I think you gotta. I mean, I don't know who you punish. I think you got to tell Facebook that's not allowed. And I'm sure they have people policing that shit now, just like YouTube. But they still get around it. They change the title, but they use a thumbnail, or you know what I mean. Like it's definitely something they got to look into. That's a lot of fucking money they lost.
It's a lot, and I don't know how they're not catching it because I do live feeds just like you do live feeds. If I were to put a song, even a brand new song that just dropped on my live feed, they're going to erase my live feed. You know what I'm saying?
They'll put you in Facebook jail.
Within hours, it'll be gone. It won't even be uploaded. But the moment they hear about it, they delete it because of copyright laws. And and it's funny with fights. I guess they can't decipher that sound as easy as music to go through and cut it off. And there's so many live feeds, I'm sure, a day. I don't even know the numbers or what they possibly could be, the amount of live feeds per hour Facebook is doing.
Right.
But I'm sure it's well in the high thousands, if not 100,000 an hour. You know,
craziness. I mean, you got to think about.
Crazy when you think about it.
You got to think about how many people were at the press conferences, how many people were in that building in Vegas, like how many people did actually pay for the pay-per-view, and plus on top of all that, plus 100 million illegal. I mean, that's the most watched fight in the history of the world. I mean, it's got to be.
Oh, without a doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, the star power was amazing. I mean, no matter what people want to say to people that hated on the fight, you got to understand this is a gorilla versus against a bear. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
We want to see a gorilla fight a grizzly, and whether you say that you're into that or not, just the idea of it, you still hit that click button. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, whether you love it or you hate it.
I think that McGregor and Mayweather on so many levels was entertaining and interesting to the general public for both positive things and negative things. I think that this fight transcended so many components of one's psyche that it bothers you. The obvious being MMA versus boxing. I think that that's an obvious one. I think two big mouth people, two very confident people, two very money-versed individuals,
right.
Black and white.
You're
talking about a lot of stuff that comes out with this fight. And I called it when it first got announced that this would be one of the most, in my opinion, racially driven conversation fights in a long time.
Do you think it was, though?
That's not anything unusual.
Do you think that was genuine,
I'm gonna say
though?
straight up, let's be honest, every time, pretty much, that there is a black and white fight, it turns into that. So when people act like this was new to them, I didn't think so. It was the same thing I saw when Mayweather fought Ricky Hatton.
Yeah, only super fights, though.
It's just something that goes down. If
super fights, though.
To fight Tyron Woodley, you would see some of the same things. I mean, it's just, at this point, unfortunately, where we want to call it ugly or fair, it's just part of where the conversation goes when you put these type of fights together.
Bro, then they brought... First of all, I hate that shit. I hate the fact that turns... You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
I hate the fact that it turns into that conversation. You know what I mean? Especially when people tried to twist Connor's... When Connor said something about in the press conference, called him boy, and then everybody tried to twist that into something. That's how Irish people talk. You know what I mean? That's how people from Britain in general talk. So I didn't really trigger anything for me because I've been there. I've heard it. You know what I mean? But I'm sure that did trigger some shit for some people. And I hate the fact that it's got to be a racial thing. But did you see these motherfuckers when they came in the ring? Connor's wearing straight white with gold trim. And Mayweather's wearing straight black with gold trim. Motherfucker even had a ski mask on.
He did have a ski mask on. And I think that it was to embrace the villain. First thing, going back to the dance with gas, I do know Irish people that say that. But I also know the connotation that it was going to be. As soon as I heard it, I cringed. As soon as I heard it. And
it's crazy because it's not crazy, but it's different.
Go. You know, Connor is probably one of the most, when I say real, I want to say real interviews. You do a lot of interviews now. So you know when you get a real interview and when you get someone who's just, you can't get into that corner. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dave Wilson, for example, is a very hard person to interview and get him to come out of that box. When you get him out of it, it's really fun. But he's trained not to. I'm another person that's very trained not to come out of a box. Like when I say trained, I'm very careful and I'm thinking generally well before I say anything. Before you hear the words, I've already thought about what I'm going to say. But when you can get Bully the Kid to speak outside of it, it's exciting. Connor, you don't got to worry about it. It's going to be genuine. What he says
Yeah,
You
right,
know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
If I want to fight you, I'm gonna make you mad, and I think that's what he wanted to do. You know, I think that
I
goes
think that
back to
was
Floyd not being able to read, talking about
hilarious.
things that he thought would bother Floyd. And I'm gonna say straight up, man, one of the biggest things that I had for Floyd was a new level of respect for his composure. I'm talking about Conor touching his head, Conor doing a lot of disrespectful shit, and this man kept his composure, and he knew he was gonna have his day in the ring. You know what I'm saying? And
Bro,
I really think
bro,
that got overlooked a lot.
you don't
By
think
people
those
that just
guys
wanted to
had
overly
meetings?
hate Floyd Mayweather, but
You don't think those guys
Floyd.
had meetings talking about that shit though? You don't think they had meetings talking about like things that they could do to each other to fucking make it better, to make the press conferences better?
You know, I don't think they even needed to. I don't think they did because I don't think they needed to. I think that you knew. See, a lot of people want to say it was scripted, and I understand
Some of it. I'm not saying all of it.
because
I'm
we're
saying
in a
some of it.
process society where we don't believe anything can be real anymore. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
That is
God,
true.
if you get 1,000 likes, people are saying, "Oh, he bought those likes," because we don't want to believe anything is real anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
that is true.
I truly believe there were negotiations set down. This is what's going to happen. This will not be allowed. But I don't think the one thing I think was discussed without a doubt, because it did not come up, was Floyd beating on women. Because there's no way in the hell that Conor McGregor does not use that in his verbal assault on Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, I can't believe it didn't come out.
Yeah, it's too easy. That's an easy blow. And he didn't use it. So I'm almost 100% positive that somehow or another that was put in that you will not discuss that or you'll lose X amount of dollars. But other than that, I think that them coming out talking, hey, push the line. I think they definitely said, don't touch me. You know what I'm saying? If you touch me, it's going to be a problem. Don't do this, don't do that. I think one of the realest moments was when Floyd had the flag. He had the flag, and I think that Conor's reaction to that was genuine and real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, don't disrespect my country, don't disrespect my flag, and I think that was real. I think you know they said a lot of things to get the crowd hyped up. It was definitely a weird thing, but I think it was real. I think it was.
They're both.
Genuine. What they said was what they said.
They're both very intelligent people. Also, they're both whether. People think Floyd Mayweather's dumb. That motherfucker might not be able to read a soliloquy eloquently, but that motherfucker is smart. I don't care what anybody says. These are two of the most intelligent fighters on the planet, in my opinion. That's why they're so good at the hype game. That's why they're so good at the build up. That's why they're so good at that's why their numbers are so good. People want to see what's going on, and people want to see the game that they're playing. I think my take on it though, I think it was a bad idea to try to get Floyd Mayweather mad. I think most people when you get them mad, they get outside themselves a little bit. The emotions take over and they get people they get that way. You get someone mad and they're off. Basketball. We used to do this shit in basketball. We should, whatever sport you play, you try to get inside the other guy's head because most people it throws them off. I don't think Floyd Mayweather's that type of guy. I feel like pissing him off puts him further into his zone. You know what I'm saying? I feel like white men can't jump. This is a white men can't jump reference. Woody Harrelson was trying to get Wesley Snipes mad because he knew Wesley Snipes would go deeper into his zone and play better where everybody else does not. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah, and that is where some athletes go. I want to touch on what you just said too about being smart. Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, and I will make this argument, is probably the most intelligent athlete business-wise ever that the world has ever seen. Okay? And what I mean by that is Michael Jordan, who I'm a humongous Michael Jordan fan. Michael Jordan made $1 billion. But Michael Jordan has made a lot of other people a lot of money because Michael Jordan didn't own his name until he could afford to buy his name. And that was well after he was, done with basketball.
Right,
okay?
Right.
Floyd Mayweather for the last 10 years has fallen under Mayweather Promotions. He owns his name. He doesn't have to ask anybody anything. This Conor McGregor fight so smart because Conor's making $50 million or $100 million. Conor has to break bread with the UFC. He had to go ask permission to fight and to do this fight. He had to do that because he technically does not own himself. Mayweather owns everything about Mayweather. He breaks bread with his employees, not his employer. And that's tremendous in boxing. Boxing is notorious for ripping people off.
Yeah, he was the first one, right?
Destitute after they finish their careers. And Mike Tyson, you don't have to go any further than Mike Tyson. You know, Mike Tyson made a shitload of money for Don King, but Don King owned him. Bob Arum owns a lot of people. Floyd Mayweather owns Floyd Mayweather, and I think that that's tremendous. When you can see an athlete come in the ring and make upwards of $300 million, it's crazy. That would be like the players owning the football team they play for. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't. We're like, oh, that player's getting Tom Brady. Tom Brady's one of the highest paid football players. He's getting $20 million a year. But the New England Patriots probably are making upwards of $500 million a year, $400 million a year. You know what I'm saying? What he's making is chump change compared to what the Patriots are making. Mayweather is the Patriots and he's Tom Brady at the same time, and that's an amazing thing, man. So I think that's what it comes down to.
I think the backgrounds too of these two guys. People got to look at the backgrounds.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying people have to look at the backgrounds of both these guys, and I want to go back. I want to go back to what you said about Conor having to break bread with the UFC, but both the backgrounds of both of these guys, like Floyd comes from absolutely nothing. Conor comes from basically the same fucking place, just on a different continent. They both come from absolutely nothing. So to see collectively these two individuals walk in the ring and make probably close to $500 million between the two of them after it's all said and done with the, pay-per-view money and all this crazy other stuff. That's inspire. I mean, you have to be inspired by that shit, and it just goes to show you, like, going back to Conor breaking bread with the UFC. To me, that is the fact that he was able to step out of the UFC is a positive for me. The fact that he was able to transcend the box that everybody put him in, and make that amount of money, because in the UFC it hasn't been around. The money's not getting doled out to fighters like it is for boxers. So right. You know what I'm saying? So for him to be able to transcend that box that everybody put him in and go make that type of money and step out into another world. Yeah, I mean, maybe he had to get permission first. But the fact that the fact that he's so big, they couldn't even say no. That's a positive for me. And the fact that he was, and we'll get into the fight in a second, but the fact that he was fairly competitive. I'm not going to say competitive because in my mind it was an exhibition more than it was anything else. But to look competitive and to be fairly competitive like that, to me, like, they both win in my opinion. Like, yeah, somebody has a W and somebody has a L, but to me, like, that's a win. Like, everybody wins.
I look at it like this. Conor, if I was in UFC, my answer would have been no to Conor. I think what you just said is very powerful. He was too big for them to say no. I would have risked saying no because you've just given Conor so much leverage that you can never pay Conor McGregor $3 million again. Okay? Conor McGregor was the highest paid MMA fighter, which he will still remain. Biggest draw. But he was only getting $3 million.
Right.
That's chump change to Conor now. I think now you put Conor in a position with the amount of money that he made from boxing to look at Dana White and I forget the brother's name that owned the company, and say, no, I'm not fighting for that. You got to redo my contract. Because now he's got money he's sitting on. Conor's is not a dummy. You know what I'm saying? Now he can look in his bank account and say, I've got 50, 60, nine-figure fighter. But Conor now has casual fans from a whole different side that will tune in to watch this Irish dude that they fell in love with. So he just made the UFC more money. But he's also increased his brand so big that they got to pay him more. Conor will own a part of the UFC very, very, very soon, in my opinion.
I think it's good for everybody, though, Bully, in the UFC. I think it's good for, because, you know what I mean? A rising tide floats all ships. So if these motherfuckers are smart and have some sort of fighters union eventually or soon, hopefully soon, there's going to be more money for all fighters and across the board, I feel like, because of this. Because the curve just got moved. You know what I mean? So
this is a question I asked somebody. Maybe you can answer it for me. I'm a casual MMA fan. I like MMA. I watch it. I watch the big fighters, the John Jones, the Conor McGregor.
Well, I'm not a fucking executive.
But I know a little bit about the Cerrones and Tony Ferguson's and the Diaz brothers and stuff, but not enough that I'm really in it. Anthony Rumble Johnson, shout out to our bully brother. But let me ask you this. What other fighters, if you had to name 5 fighters that are going to make that kind of pay-per-view draw, could you? And everybody else I've talked to have been like, man, I don't really know. I mean, Conor, John's in big trouble with steroids again. Who else? And that's where I feel the UFC felt they still had control. The same can be said for boxing. The biggest draw now without Mayweather there is Canelo and Triple G, but that's a fight that you gotta really love boxing. A casual fan is not tuning in 2 weeks to watch Canelo and Triple G.
Nobody even knows about it. Nobody even knows about it.
Mayweather and McGregor are different. They're world renowned. They're known. They're popular. They can make more money. So it's going to be interesting to see. I do agree with you that it's a win-win for everybody involved because, hey, you got the money, you got people talking, you dominated social media for roughly 3 weeks.
Still is. Still is right now.
It was ridiculous.
It still is dominating social media right now, other than the stuff that's going on in Houston and Texas and stuff. And but I feel like there's probably 3 guys, not counting Conor, but that's if John Jones's shit turns out to be bunk, because you know sometimes these guys take tainted supplements and shit where you buy a supplement off the shelf and it actually has illegal drugs in the shit and they're selling it as not telling you that there's illegal shit in it. So you have to see how that turns out.
He gets off.
Yeah, there is. I feel like there is a chance, but there's, you know, who knows how that's going to play out. But without John Jones, there's maybe 2 other guys. You know, so
I got Cyborg.
Well, I wasn't even counting Cyborg, but as far as females go, Cyborg for sure. And I think if Cyborg and Holly Holm fight, that's going to be dope. That's going to be a crazy fight. If or Cody Garbrandt has definitely star power. His hands are crazy and he bangs people up, and he's covered in tattoos head to toe.
Yeah, he has the look.
He's got the, he's a good looking kid. He's definitely got the look. As far as personalities go, though, there's not really a whole lot of other personalities that are standing out, And the guys that are trying to stand out like that, it's forced, and you could tell it's forced.
Very much forced.
So I think that's going to be an uphill battle for them guys.
Brock Lesnar thing was a big thing because it was money. Once again, you're talking crossover.
Yeah, super fight. Yeah.
The WWE people. Brock Lesnar is a beast of a human being going up against John Jones.
I don't believe he's a human being.
I know you don't like to say it, but I'm going to tell you now. Black versus white always sells. It always sells. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether we want to admit it or not, it does. Even with Garbrandt, the guy you just brought up, and I probably said his name wrong, Cody. Good-looking guy, tattoos all over his body. What did he do? He started talking about Alvester, the dude that wears the gold chains, the black dude with the flat top. And it went crazy viral on Twitter. Now, once again, I'm only casual. draw. You know what I'm saying? In boxing, it used to be the black guy versus the Mexican guy was a big draw. You know what I'm saying? But when you see things like white men can't jump, you see great white height, it's always going to kind of have that little piece to it that can draw people in, and I think we're going to see more of that. Now, when we talk about the actual fight, I'm pretty sure we may disagree on
yeah,
that
definitely.
Fight,
we're definitely. But you
what did you think?
You had Mayweather the whole time from Jump Street. Like you pretty much, people thought that Floyd would actually knock Conor out, though I knew that there was no possible chance in that happening.
I definitely thought he was going to knock him out.
Right. I knew that there was absolutely zero chance of that happening. What disappoints me is how biased the whole setup was toward Floyd. And I'll explain what I'm talking about. So both fighters come in the ring. Both they do the announcements, the names. They bring him to the center of the ring. The referee stares at Conor's face the entire time he's giving instructions. He doesn't even talk to Floyd one time.
Yeah.
He stared Conor in the fucking face the entire. Conor actually had a death stare on Floyd, but the ref never even looked at Floyd or mentioned anything to Floyd the entire time. And he emphasized certain shit to Conor, like Conor's some sort of fucking savage they pulled out of a cave and he doesn't understand the rules. You know what I'm saying? He's a professional. Maybe not, that fight's the biggest in history, so no one's been in a fight on that level, but I don't know. I felt like that was super biased. And then every time they tied up, the ref would literally almost scold Conor McGregor, and Floyd half the time was the motherfucker holding, and he's the one that should have been told to let go and back up. But every single exchange Floyd turned his back 4 different times and covered his face up, wasn't even paying attention to Conor. In any other boxing match, that ref would have let that Conor beat the fuck out of him from behind. From behind, you can't do that. You can't turn around, turn your back to a guy and cover up. That's not a defense. You can't break him up for that. I think what got Conor in trouble a couple times was he was grabbing Floyd's hip and hitting him, which I don't know if that's legal or what that. But definitely 2 different times in the fight, he was not grabbing his hip and just punching him, and the ref stopped that shit, which drove me crazy. And then at the end, I mean, I'm talking about it like it's a real boxing match right now, which I've got mixed emotions about it because, like I said, I look at it like it's an exhibition, but they're presenting it like it's a real boxing match. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I can see in my head, there's probably going to be some things that are not exactly like a boxing match because it's an exhibition, but they're presenting it to me like it's a real fucking boxing match. So if that's the case, what you tell me the last time you've seen a boxing match get stopped before somebody got knocked down one time? To me personally, I mean, I'm a casual boxing fan also, so there might be 100 of them. I don't know about them, but to me, I don't remember ever seeing a boxing match where the ref stopped the fight because of punches before someone was knocked down on the canvas. And I get what they're saying. It's not that crucial. Conor has no record in boxing. He's not going for a title. It was only for money. I understand why the fight was stopped, but don't present the shit to me like a real boxing match and then bias the whole fucking exhibition toward Conor or toward Floyd Mayweather and then try to act like it wasn't. To me, there was some things that could have definitely went different.
The beginning of it is like this. You're a judge. You've been judging dogs for a long time. You know how to show dogs. I'm not going to come to you and explain to you what a down and back is. I'm not going to tell you what going around is because you should know. You've been here 50 times. You know what I'm saying? This is Floyd Mayweather. You don't have to spend a lot of time telling me and Cassius Clay how to go around the ring when you're giving your instructions. There's no reason to even look at me. I know what I'm doing.
No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Talking to Floyd, looking in his eye, does it sell well? It does sell very well to the people that are watching I mean, if you just want to sell the thing. But you can't really, in my opinion, look at Floyd and say, these are the rules of boxing. You're 49-0. We need to reiterate this to you after 21 years of fighting. I think that talking to the guy who's new, first time there, you're going to spend more time talking to him. That was that part of that.
100% of the time, though?
Floyd definitely turned his back on him. And he definitely did it after he was getting the rabbit punches in the back of the head. Once again, this is knowing boxing. You know what you're doing. You know what your opponent's doing. And you want to set him up. I truly believe Floyd thought the ref was going to take away some points from Conor. And the ref did a great job of not taking away points, because I think he saw what Floyd was doing as well. So in any other boxing match, hitting that many times with hammer punches to the back of the head, you would have lost points. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an obvious rule. You're not allowed to hit in the back of the head like that. But
true. That's very true.
Conor, you don't discipline him for it. I also think, and I'm not an MMA fighter, but I think that his instinct to get the back is so strong in MMA. It's one of the most elementary lessons in MMA that is just pounded in their head, like get their back. When they present their back, get their back. I think that it was almost instinct for Conor. I don't think he was trying to purposely hook his arm around him. I think it was just instinct, and he let go every time, like, yo, I'm not supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I thought it was a real boxing match. I just think it was unorthodox because of the style that Conor had. I think the first 3 rounds happened just like I did. And I think Floyd gave him an opportunity to do what Conor said he was going to do. Conor's the one that said, he's not going to last 2 rounds. He can't keep my pace. He can't hang with me. He's out of shape. This was the most ludicrous shit I've ever heard in my life about Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? It would be me saying Ty Lumley is the smallest guy I've ever seen. He could fit in a Miata. Like, I'm just saying random shit. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's where I don't agree with.
Well, there, the stoppage in boxing, you have to defend yourself and you have to throw punches. Where I think the ref and why people are confused is because MMA is not like that. MMA, that was nothing what Conor was taking. Diaz did that to Conor the first fight. You know what I'm saying? Rocked him. He was tired, and you can walk around in MMA. You can cover yourself up because MMA. You're not out because you can still defend yourself while people are pounding on you. In boxing, with your hands down, just taking punches, not throwing anything back, it's where the ref has to step in and say, you don't want to fight anymore. Because in MMA, they stop the fight because you're hurt and you're about to get really fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we don't stop it, you're going to be brain dead. And in boxing, it's totally different because it's once you don't want to fight anymore. Once you show you don't want to fight anymore. And I think that's what Conor was so tired that he couldn't lift his hands. At that point, he was defensive. I do think Floyd would have knocked him down and knocked him out had they let it go. I personally was mad that the ref stopped the fight because I thought it gave Conor an excuse or his fans an excuse to say Floyd couldn't do it. And I think he was on his way. I mean, he outweighs Floyd by 20 pounds, and he's getting hit around the ring. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you watch the replay, he went all the way around the ring. And Floyd is a lot smaller than him, a lot older than him. And for an old, small, brittle-handed man to beat you like that around the ring, I think that says something about Floyd Mayweather, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't see him get hurt one time. And I think it's the exact opposite. In MMA, that would have been stopped also because you're not defending yourself and you didn't throw a punch. That would have been stopped in MMA. In boxing,
I've never seen an MMA fight stopped.
No,
standing up.
But
That's why I was confused. Like for me, every MMA fight I've ever seen stopped has always been on the ground where the ref jumped in. I've never seen one stop where both fighters were standing.
Well, yeah, I mean most of the time they have
much more than I have. You know what I'm saying? But,
right, they have 4-ounce gloves on, so most of the time when they get hit like that. They're going down.
Conor was kind of like, hey, this is it. But I also, let me ask you this, Ty. There were 4 other fights that night. None of the other boxers looked as tired as Conor McGregor. None of them.
No, he was definitely gassed.
Like, I've never seen a boxer look that tired.
He was definitely gassed, right? Okay, but this is my point. This is what I was trying to say. In MMA, that would have been stopped because he wasn't defending himself. He wasn't returning. He wasn't throwing any punches. In boxing, you tell me the last time you seen a boxing match stop without somebody hitting the canvas. Because in boxing, because in boxing, somebody gets knocked down. They have a fucking standing 8 count. You have to be standing up by the time you get 8 seconds before you even have to be, stand back up. People get hurt in boxing. There's damage, long-term damage to the brain because of how many opportunities you get to get hurt and then recover and get back up and go back again. Conor did not receive those chances. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but Conor did not receive. Yes, he was tired. Yes, he was getting punched. I didn't see him get hurt one time. And we didn't see him hit the canvas one time. I can't remember ever seeing a box. I'm sure there is. Somebody's going to comment and say, "Hey, stupid fuck, this is the match." But
it's still very rare. It's still very rare.
Right, it's right, super rare, regardless if there is.
You're 100% correct.
He did not receive those chances. Now, I agree. He was getting his in round 9 and round 10. He was getting his ass beat, and he was tired as fuck. But he did not receive the same chances a normal boxer would have received to continue that fight. And we've all seen.
And that's what I agree with you. And what I mean by that is.
And listen. But listen, we've all seen boxers, like we've all seen legendary fights. Like think about this. Think about Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward. If a referee would have stopped that fight at any of those fights at any time, they wouldn't be the legendary trilogy of fights that they are. That's part of boxing. That's part of the boxing culture. We're talking about. I mean, to me, and I know no one else is probably going to agree with this shit, but to me, the stoppage was bunk. But I do agree that he was gassed as fuck and getting beat up, no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, and I think everyone can agree that it was premature. I think it was a lot of assumption saying that Conor, whatever side of the fence you're on.
But that was just another example of that fight being biased toward Floyd, in my opinion.
He was going to do what people didn't think he was going to do, which was knock him out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or at least knock him down. I don't think he would have knocked him out, but he would have knocked him down.
Yeah, I think he was on his way to knocking him down. That's what I'm saying. That's what makes me upset.
Conor deserved the right to hit the canvas and get up because that's what boxing is about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the fact that they didn't allow that is what I was upset about.
Right.
And my guy won because Conor should have been awarded. Every fighter deserves a right to get knocked down and see if they got that champion stuff to get up. I wanted to see if Conor would get up. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because one of the biggest critiques is his heart, right?
But for different reasons. For me, it's because I think his accuracy was coming. He was about to unleash something I've not seen in Floyd in a long time.
I think he already was.
I put up a clip a long time ago of Floyd fighting Arturo Gatti. And Arturo took a way worse beating than Conor McGregor.
Way worse.
That fight,
way
As
worse.
fast as they stopped Conor McGregor. I would have also not stopped it because Conor's so much bigger than him, and it did not appear that he was hurt.
Wasn't hurt, right?
It looked like he was getting rocked.
He was definitely getting hit with
a concussion right then. I do think that he was going to go down, and I wanted to see that happen for selfish reasons. But it didn't happen. And maybe Floyd would have punched himself out from having to hit Conor so much, trying to get him down. And I'll tell people this: I didn't think Floyd looked like the old Floyd. He looked like he got a little tired, and it was the first time I said that about Floyd Mayweather, that he looked like he was a little tired as well. He is 40. Almost 41 years old,
right.
But he did look a little bit spent. And I would have liked to see Conor come back the next round and maybe throw some haymakers. I did not see the power from Conor McGregor that I've seen in the past, and I think some of that comes from Floyd Mayweather being worried about the counter punches and missing. So I think Conor didn't really let loose. But at the end of the day. Can I say that Conor fought a good fight? Of course.
How did you score?
Do I think he was competitive?
How many rounds did you have him winning?
Well, my personal scorecard, I had him winning 3.
3 rounds. Okay, so when was the last time somebody on my card, I have 4 because I had a fucking scorecard. Anyway,
Yeah, like I have a
yeah.
scorecard. But I
But
didn't win in the first 3. He was a busier fighter in the first 3.
and round
He
8
landed more punches in the first 3.
and round 8, I feel like round 8. No, I gave him 1, 2, and 3. But I seen an interview afterwards, and Connor or Floyd said that he would have liked to take over earlier, but he just couldn't. Like he was like he actually said he had a lot of respect for Connor's boxing, a lot more now because he literally he said he wanted to take over earlier, 7 or 8, but he just couldn't. So, I mean, to me, that's definitely a compliment. But I think like in the first 3 rounds, it was definitely Connor. More punches, more landing, controlling the ring, much more pace to it. And he landed a couple of uppercuts that I thought he would continue to throw throughout the fight because the uppercuts got landed when Floyd was ducked in or lunged in for a punch, and in the later rounds, that's what Floyd was doing, was ducking in and coming in close, and I thought he would use those uppercuts more, but it seemed like he just abandoned the uppercut and abandoned the power punches altogether. But I thought in round 8 he clipped him with 2 hooks and two big body shots, and I feel like he landed more punches in round 8 also. So I gave him round 8, but so that's 4 rounds I gave him. But even if it's only 3, when was the last time somebody won 3 rounds against Floyd Mayweather?
Oh, never. But you got to also look at this. The only reason Conor won those, and without a doubt, I'll agree with that. This is not what we saw this weekend was not Floyd fighting a Floyd fight.
Right.
I think if Floyd fought, like Floyd didn't go into Philly shell but one time. Philly shell is like his primary defensive posture. He didn't do that. Floyd coming forward, when you come forward, you get hit more. You know what I'm saying?
True. That is true.
That allowed Conor to be in there because Floyd was not fighting like Floyd. He was trying to, in my opinion, prove something to maybe even to himself, but definitely to Conor, definitely to other people. I think that if there was anything he took lackadaisical, it was him doing that. In a similar fight with Canelo, another big guy, similar stats to Conor, but even bigger, he did not fight like he fought Conor McGregor. Like, there was no way he would go forward against a boxer. I think that was, in a way, his lack of respect for Conor was, I'm going to fight him this way. And it opened him up to more hits and being hit more than he's been hit in a long time. Someone said, well, Conor hit him more than Pacquiao. Of course. Because Floyd didn't fight Pacquiao like that. Floyd was dodging, ducking, weaving. He was not throwing punches like that. This fight was definitely, if there was a chance for Conor McGregor to beat Floyd Mayweather, I think that Floyd gave him every opportunity to do so because he came forward. I've never seen Floyd move that much forward in probably 13 years. I can't remember the last fight that I saw him come.
I fucking loved
that much, trying to catch somebody, throwing jabs that were coming up short. I mean, you're talking about one of the most accurate boxers in history, and he was really kind of just throwing haymakers. Even when Conor was tired, he was kind of missing. I think he was just trying to knock him out.
Yeah, he wanted to knock. He wanted that KO. He wanted to see Conor face down on that bitch for sure.
Oh, yeah, he wanted that. But, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to take anything away from Conor. I think the disrespect to Floyd Mayweather is what annoyed me the most because it's based around hatred for a man. I put it in my post. I felt that it was a crazy thing in the environment that we're in where everyone's screaming America, America, America. And we have an American fighter that's fought his whole life, for America, in America, and not getting that treatment that someone wanted the American to lose, and a lot of Americans did. And I felt that was eye-opening to see that go down like that. I think that people saying that Floyd always runs is annoying because I feel like they don't understand boxing, To be 50-0, and I bet you if we put the punch stats together, Floyd's probably been hit less than any fighter in history. You know what I'm saying? And that's remarkable. That's remarkable.
Yeah, for a fan, take your head off. For a boxing fan, that's remarkable.
That's pretty remarkable. But offense is always celebrating more than defense.
Right.
The touchdown is always celebrating more than the tackle.
Well, so people want to see people get brain damage, bro. People want to see everybody get brain slobber knocker, like a Hagler Hearns fight. You know what I mean? Like, or a Ward Gotti fight. Like, people want to see that.
Let's be honest. They didn't want Floyd to lose.
Oh,
they wanted Floyd
I did.
to be BTK.
Yes.
Like, hurt.
Yes.
They wanted him to be hurt.
No, I didn't want him to be hurt.
We're talking about a fighter, Ty, that's never been knocked down. Never in his career. He's never been knocked down, let alone knocked out. Conor McGregor said he was going to knock out Floyd Mayweather, a man that's never took a knee in a fight.
But
a man that's never even been knocked
down. You can't take that shit seriously, though. You can't take anything that's said pre-fight seriously. From either side. From either side.
I feel like I'm being ignorant when I say I did.
You can't, though. It's all fight hype.
In the new age of social media, it makes us take it more seriously.
Right. Makes people, it's that tribalism thing.
So many people that didn't know. Like, I read your stuff because, Todd, man, I really do respect what you say, whether it be about dogs, boxing, or the social climate. I like to see how your brain thinks because I think you've experienced enough life that it deserves me to at least read it and see where it comes from. Man, there were so many people out there that were just ignorant, bro.
Ignorant, man.
You know what I'm saying? Just ignorant. And it was so much towards Floyd being, a bencher. And I'm the first one to say, at damn near 300 pounds, I can't fight Conor McGregor. He'll beat the shit out of me in MMA or boxing. You know what I'm saying? I don't got the win. I'm talking about him gassing out like I could have won 15 rounds myself. You know what I'm saying? After one round, I'm probably done. You know? I'm talking about Mayweather, a man that I outweigh by two Mayweathers. He's going to outbox me. You know, and I think we need to give respect to some of the greatest athletes that we're going to see in the world. Do I give Conor credit for stepping in the ring with Floyd Mayweather? No, I don't. Anybody for their first fight ever to make $50 million doesn't get credit for stepping in the ring. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get more money than you've ever made, and you're Conor McGregor. You know what I'm saying? Your net worth was $20-some million. That's less than Michael Griffin's net worth. Okay? Now, you quadrupled your worth. You tripled your worth. No, I can't give you too much credit for stepping in the ring. I mean, you had absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. Win, lose, or draw, Conor McGregor is going to make more money for getting an opportunity to fight Floyd Mayweather. Do I give Mayweather credit for stepping in the ring with Conor McGregor? A little bit. A little bit. You're stepping in the ring with a bigger man, a younger man, and if he knocks you out, your legacy is shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't even claim to be the best ever anymore. You can't even, your whole road to the Hall of Fame has been destroyed and demolished by an Irish train. I don't know if I take that risk. I'm going to be honest, Ty. If I'm Floyd Mayweather, I don't think I get in the ring with Conor McGregor. I don't think I do. I got too much to lose. What do you think? You fight Conor McGregor if you're Floyd Mayweather, or it's not even worth it?
Well, I definitely. All right, let me say this. I am still not a Mayweather fan. All right, but I definitely respect him more after this than I did before, because, like you're saying, he's the only one that stood to lose anything. You know what I mean? Right. No matter if Conor lost a boxing match, he doesn't even box. It doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't matter.
It literally does not matter. He still has 2 belts in the UFC that he's going to go defend. It doesn't matter. Floyd loses. He's, instead of 49-0, instead of having a 0, there's no 0, and that's bad. Like you're saying, his legacy's tarnished, but then I feel like the media spin afterwards would have spun it into an exhibition fight instead of a boxing match, so his legacy would have probably been all right.
You think they would have tried to protect that legacy?
Yeah, well, for sure, 100%. But people still whether the media puts out whatever they put out doesn't matter. What people still would remember last from Floyd Mayweather was getting beat by someone who doesn't even box. So,
yes.
it's definitely a huge risk. He's the only one that had anything to risk. But at the same time, you have made the claim publicly that you're the best boxer ever to box ever. All right?
Right.
You definitely, if someone, but I mean, you don't even respond to the challenge unless you're going to take it all the way. You don't even respond to Conor the first time unless you're going to take it all the way through, I feel like. But once you decide to take it all the way through, you're there. And the fact that you're going to make $300 million, even if you got to play the defensive game and wait for Conor to gas out, which I feel like Floyd was super confident that Conor was going to get tired round 8, 9, 10. He was super confident in that. He knew that was going to happen. I mean, basically everybody on the planet. This is where I don't give Floyd as much credit as everyone else does. For me, you don't get credit for doing your fucking job. You know what I'm saying? You don't get credit for just going to work and doing what you were supposed to do. You're the greatest of all time. You're the highest paid boxer of all time. One of the only 3 athletes to make $1 billion in sports now after this fight. Mm-hmm. You don't get extra credit for doing what the fuck you're supposed to do. But as far as Conor goes, he doesn't get extra. Neither one of them get extra credit. I feel like we have to give them both credit for. I thought it was great. Whether people call it a spectacle, and boxing purists are always gonna hate it probably. But I thought it was awesome. It was entertaining as fuck. The ebb and flow of the fight, the back and forth. That's why I thought round 8 was like super important for Conor, because he kind of made a push back and then really lost his gas after that round. I thought it was like super entertaining, and that's what they both promised, was an entertaining fight. And Floyd said he was going to go forward and knock him out. He didn't knock him out, but a TKO is the same thing on the scorecard. You know what I mean?
Right,
so,
right. Do you hold, as an MMA fan, is there anything that you hold your head on? I mean, hold it lower because Conor gassed out. Like, is that embarrassing a little bit?
No,
or not at all?
No, he. I mean, I feel like Conor's body type in general is probably not made for endurance. Mm-hmm. Just looking at how he's built, to me, he's not a, you know what I mean? He's not a Kenyan runner. You know, he's not going to be, which Floyd really isn't either, but he's much more compact and much more efficient in the way his body works and moves. Well, Conor has to use a lot of energy to do everything he does. I feel like we, as MMA fans, we for the most of us thought that the fact that he wouldn't have to grapple or clench or kick or defend takedowns, I thought that would get him an extra, maybe to round 10. I figured round 11 and 12 he was going to be, trying to survive anyway because he'd be gassed out. But I thought maybe round 10, he was only a round earlier than what I expected, honestly. So I feel like it's definitely,
And that right there is what you just said is what I hope some MMA guys would come back away from, because they were like, boxing's a joke.
Well, it's definitely not a joke.
That it did show the stamina required to be a boxer.
Yeah, it's definitely not a joke. They call it the sweet science for a reason. Like, to be a good boxer, your hand-eye coordination, your reflexes, you almost have to be able to tell what a guy. Floyd Mayweather could tell what you're going to do before you actually do the shit. You know what I mean? Right. So, like,
to predict, like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely not a joke.
He had to wait till he gets tired. But that's boxing.
Right, and I think
boxing is endurance. It is about stamina. It is about lasting longer than your opponent. And if he had been running away from him, making him chase him, and then he got tired, I would agree that hey, that's not boxing. But he wasn't doing that. It was a great showing of what it is. Everybody that's saying, well, Floyd should go to the octagon. No, he shouldn't. He didn't say he would whoop Conor's ass in the octagon. Conor called him out. You know what I'm saying?
don't think that would be a good idea for Floyd Mayweather in any way. See, this is why it's not embarrassing for him to gas out. All right, if you look at boxing as a sport and MMA as a sport, boxing is a game, right? And it's limited to these, your hands. So it's a limited game. MMA is also a game, and it's also limited, but not physically. It's only limited about what you can do to the other person. You can use anything on your body, so it's much more like a real fight. So what most MMA guys do is they lean on the fact of, if that was a real fight, Floyd would have been broken half, which probably true, but it wasn't a real fight. Conor agreed to play that game by those limitations. So you kind of, it's not embarrassing, but I feel like people are going to lean on the fact that it wasn't a real fight. Anybody that doesn't have respect for boxing is crazy. Like, that's a difficult thing to be good at and a dangerous thing to be good at. People die boxing all the time. There was just a guy a few weeks ago that died from a boxing match. You know what I mean? That's a dangerous. Actually, technically, if you look at the deaths in the sport, it's way more dangerous than MMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well, why do you think that is? That it's more dangerous than MMA?
Because of the fact that they can. MMA, if you get hit and knocked out, you're done. It's over. It's over. If you get hit and stunned and you're not responding, it's over. They shut it down. So your brain has that initial concussion, and then it recovers. In boxing, you could have 3 concussions in one fucking fight, I feel like.
That is true.
You know what I mean? In boxing, you get hit and hurt.
Do you think Conor boxes again?
No, oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, for sure.
You think for sure? And you think the next one will be a victory?
I think the next one's going to be Paulie Malignaggi.
And let me say this about Paulie. And I understand his frustration, but and I know we're not talking dogs, but let me just say it like this, man. There's a lot of little dogs that I beat, and they want a rematch.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, you're not on that level. You know what I'm saying?
But that's only because that's what I've heard from interviews and, podcasts and shit.
The big money fight would be if Canelo loses to Triple G.
Never.
A Canelo versus McGregor
never
would be a big money fight.
That will never happen. Never? That will never happen.
Why is that?
Because Canelo actually could knock Conor out.
So you're saying for Conor, he's not taking that fight?
No, that will never happen. It doesn't matter if he's going to make $100 million again or not. That will never happen. Conor's not trying to get hurt. But I feel like the next fight is probably the Diaz 3, which is going to be fucking huge. And I'm like, if that does happen, I'll be like a giddy little schoolgirl on the edge of my seat watching that fight every second of it. Seriously. I don't know who wins.
I say Diaz wins that fight.
I don't know who wins.
With me or no?
No, I don't. I actually called the first one. Called the second one. I actually told a couple people that I thought Nate Diaz was going to win the first one because Conor was underestimating the fuck out of him. And then Conor realized it was a different level, and he stepped his game up to that level, and I think he dominated the second fight, but people say it was closer than I thought it was.
I thought it was close.
Nah, I thought a lot of the punches that Nate was throwing were bouncing off of shoulders and not really connecting with anything and not hurting him at all. Now, don't get me wrong, he did hurt Conor a couple times, whatever. That was a crazy good fight. I loved the fight, but I didn't think it was as close as people thought. But at the same time, I think I read somewhere or watched the interview that Nate Diaz had 2 broken ribs in that fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know how hard it is to fight with broken ribs, but I'm sure it's not easy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say sitting on my couch is hard with broken ribs.
Yo,
okay? So I'm just not gonna.
I can't even imagine fighting somebody knowing your body is compromised. You know, like that.
What about Nick versus? Is that the only fight? Let me ask you this: is that the only fight for Conor McGregor that's exciting for the general public, or do you think even if he fought a Tony Ferguson or someone like that, who I don't even know what Tony Ferguson looks like, is he a big enough star to pull in numbers? Because this is what I believe on the business side, and I love business. Conor McGregor has to fight Diaz because that's another big pay-per-view. If he fights someone like Tony Ferguson, who even though Conor will bring in numbers, it won't be remotely in the same
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I'm
that's
saying?
not ever gonna happen. That's never gonna
So I
happen.
think he gets to stay on top
The
of who
Ferguson's
he
never
is.
gonna happen. Canelo's never gonna happen. I think it goes Diaz 3, and then him and Paul. Like, there's gonna be sparring footage released. Paulie's gonna talk more shit. Connor's gonna respond. He's gonna fight the Diaz fight, win or lose. I think the fight after that's probably Paulie Malignaggi, and he's probably gonna beat the fuck out of Paulie Malignaggi.
But here's the thing about Paulie, man, and when we talk about athletes in general, it doesn't matter if we're talking football, basketball, or boxing or MMA. If you don't have a personality, you can't do it. And Paulie has no personality. There is nothing about Paulie Malignaggi that makes me want to watch him. If he didn't tell me he was a champion, I wouldn't know he was ever a champion. He's not, in my opinion, on Conor McGregor's level. I don't even think boxing fans like Paulie Malignaggi. I don't think he's not. Now, if Roy Jones came out of retirement, that'd be a bigger fight.
I think Roy Jones get beat up too.
I didn't want to see Paulie fight when he was really fighting.
I think Roy Jones get beat up right now too at his age.
Yeah, Roy's old. Roy's too old.
In his prime though, Roy Jones one of the best ever.
It's got to be Canelo. It could be a young fighter that's up and coming, maybe.
No, I think the only reason he goes back to boxing is to fight Paulie. And because it'll be a big payday, because there's already animosity, and you already said it. Conor likes that animosity. That's how he hypes fights, because he's really good at talking shit.
Paulie was the opposite of Floyd. He got into his head so easily, man. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's not good for Paulie to be mad. Like, that's not good for Paulie to be mad. It's not good for him.
Being mad is not good at all. It's like a chihuahua being mad. He's just gonna run out there and get killed.
Well, I definitely think he's going to make mistakes.
I'm waiting for the Diaz fight. I'm waiting for that. The Triple G Canelo fight is for my boxing people.
I'm going to watch that too. That's going to be crazy.
All day. I'm not a big Triple G fan, and I'll be honest with you guys, it's just out of hate. I don't know why. I just look at him and I don't like him. So,
you don't like white people, that's why.
You know?
That's because you don't like white people.
That's got three of the same initials just gets on my damn nerves. You know what I'm saying? Just don't like him. So I'm going to go with Canelo. Plus, I think Canelo needs a big win, and I think this could be a big win for him. I like Canelo when he fought Floyd. I knew Floyd would beat him. I was cheering for Floyd to beat him, but I had liked Canelo's attitude. I think he's a tough kid. I think he personifies boxing as far as attitude. So I like that about Canelo, but I don't think he could ever beat Floyd Mayweather. But I think that Triple G is overrated. And I think Canelo's going to expose him.
See, I actually feel the exact opposite. I feel like Triple G is maybe one of the diamonds in the rough that should be a boxing superstar, but he just doesn't have the personality. And I feel like Canelo is overrated as fuck. But now, in my defense, I've only seen three Canelo fights and two Triple G fights. So I haven't seen their whole fight library, but to me, from what I seen in the Mayweather Canelo fight, he didn't even have the skills to be in that ring. What I seen from what was this last one where he hit the guy and the guy didn't know where the fuck he was even at?
The Chavez Jr. fight.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was like, that was a good punch, but up until that, it was only a few power punches that I thought really effective. But again, I'm an amateur. I'm even an amateur fan when it comes to boxing. I'm not even like a
boxing. And
real
that's
fan.
what I tell people. People like, Chris, you're a big boxing guy. I said, man, I watch MMA regularly. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll watch MMA on a shitty live feed of somebody in their kitchen filming the TV in their living room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, MMA is by far more exciting. The art of knowing what goes into being a great boxer is something that I'll always respect. But as far as, hey, it's Saturday night, what you got going on? Nothing, let's go watch an MMA fight. I'll go watch it all day. I mean, hell, I'm a Brian Romero fan. Brian, your mama's favorite handler fan. I watch his fights when they come on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Have you had the pleasure of watching Brian Romero in the octagon?
Listen, no offense to Brian Romero. I'm sure you're doing your thing, but there's no fucking way I'm going to spend my time watching a Brian Romero fight on Facebook.
Oh, man. Brian Romero getting flagged on Bull-NA-ChinaShop. MMA match, who would it be, and what style would you want? Would you want boxing or MMA?
I would definitely want MMA because I feel like in boxing, people's hands, motherfuckers are out of shape in the bully world. People's hands are gonna get way too tired from holding those gloves up, and it ain't even gonna be exciting. Man, if I could pick two people, Justin Key and Austin Ogletree.
Oh, MMA?
MMA for sure, yeah, 100%.
That would be. It has to be 1 round, 5-minute round. That would be a good one. There's a lot of height difference there, man.
That would literally be over in 17 seconds.
You're saying 17 seconds? Okay, all right. Who do I want to see? Who would I?
This is actually a really good question.
This is not out of animosity, but I would want to see Alex Ferrero with Lucky Lou and Ariel Mijas.
That's
on the undercard.
That is random as fuck, dude. That
is just random. I wanted to go random, man, because I feel like random fights can happen. When you shoot for the stars, it couldn't happen. A lot of people probably said they want to see Bully the Kid and Spielberg boxing 12 rounds.
Oh my God, listen. Listen. If that goes past 1 round, I'll put a bet right now. That's a 2-round fight. That's 2-round max right there.
2-round max, man. Hey, it would be good, man. You never know what you can do. Everybody wants to hear the real fight. That's what it has to be. How about Miles Lanier and Khan?
Oh, that would be interesting. I feel like they're both wiry little motherfuckers, you know?
They're wiry. I think Miles would take them out. I think Miles would get them.
I feel like Miles definitely has a little bit of a size advantage.
I think he could get him, you know what I'm saying? He might be able to come around and do something.
I'm putting my money on the Asian, bro. We're talking about fighting. I'm going with the Asian. Straight up and down.
What about our women match? Who could we put in there for our woman match? Vanessa Cuevas versus Rachel Ogletree.
Oh, shit. That's going to be a good fight, actually. I feel like that's going to be a good match right there.
That one would be good.
You're a fucking matchmaker. You're like Dana White right now.
That would be a good one. You know? I'd have to check in to see what could happen. Now, this is the main event right here. I'm going to lay it all on the line. We'd have to bring him out of retirement, but I think Rowdy Yates versus Ron Papa Pit Ramos would be...
Oh, how about... Okay. Bill Livers versus John Easterly.
Oh, I feel like that fight's already happened in the WWE. I didn't know we were doing wrestling off the top, bro.
That fight might have actually happened in real life.
That would be a good one, man. I can see John ripping his wife beater open, when he comes out,
For sure.
It would be,
I feel like Bill's hair.
A long time ago, when we first started throwing shows, we thought about having like a little boxing thing with some boxing gloves.
Oh my!
But insurance would not cover it. I just couldn't risk the lawsuit.
Yeah. But, that would be a terrible idea.
There's a lot of people. That want to punch me out. I know a lot of people be signing up to fight Bully the Kid. It's not gonna happen. I got too much to lose. I'm like Floyd Mayweather, man. I just can't put the record on the line. You know what I'm saying? I'm old now, man. I think that it's good to see things, to me, when you talk about MMA and boxing, as one of the last pure... I wasn't an MMA fan when it first started, but then when I started watching it, like Connor said, it's a real fight. It's about as close to a real fight as you get. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's just a lot of respect for that for me, man, to watch people come in there and fight.
It's gladiator shit,
we were joking
man.
about Brian Romero earlier, but hey, it takes a lot of guts to get in that octagon across from somebody and
no doubt.
Not know what's gonna happen.
No doubt, yeah. And all jokes aside, props to everybody that's doing that shit, because at my age, where I'm at in life, my mentality, I'm not fighting nobody. Unless you physically put your hands on me, you can say whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. I'm not fighting nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree. I'm not very fond of jail.
No, zero.
Been, but it's kind of like Disney. I just don't really want to visit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like the only one in my family that...
like Disney, and that's how I fight. I have to fight for my kids. I'll do it. For my kids. That's about it. But, it's definitely something that when I read comments and we talk about people that would fight and people that wouldn't fight and what they think would happen, it's just a lot of people get fleet-footed when somebody stands in front of them and they want to square up. A lot of people suddenly become Floyd Mayweather and they do some real running. You know what I'm saying? It just happens. I mean, I think that it's tremendous that Conor did it. I think personally, I'm going to say this about this fight. I got to say it. Conor McGregor is going to make a ton of money, and when it's all said and done and his career is done and his story is written, he would have done something very remarkable with his life. And I would encourage everybody that's listening to do something remarkable with theirs. Conor McGregor's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Floyd Mayweather did it. You're doing it now with Bull-NA-ChinaShop. Bull the Kid has done some exceptional things. I just, make your life remarkable. You know what I'm saying? Before you go shit on somebody else, let's see what you're doing with your life. You know what I'm saying? How many countries do you got tattooed on your arm? You know what I'm saying? What's your passport look like? What accomplishments have you done? I think that's important. And if anything that I learned from this fight, Ty, it is just that anything is possible. You know what I'm saying? Anything is possible, and you just gotta go out there, work hard, and do it. That's it.
That's what I was saying earlier. That's
it. But I'm glad you saw my boy Money Mayweather win.
Yeah, I did. It hurt me.
There was some expletives said wherever you were watching.
No. I actually
happy
told after the fifth round, like I literally looked over at Caitlin. I said, before the fight started, I said, if it goes past 5 rounds, it's not good for Conor. I said that out loud, okay? So at the 5th round, okay, round 4, Floyd starts making a move. Round 5, you could tell Floyd is making a move. Round 6, you could tell some shit is changing. I was like, it's not good. This is not going to be good for sure. But at the same time, to me, it's a celebration. I definitely would have liked to see, a decision. If at anything, a TKO definitely sucks. A knockout or a decision, that was what I want to see. You know what I mean? Like, the TKO stoppage kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth, but
yeah.
It's the craziest event.
And tell me if I'm dumb or not for thinking this. This is what I thought personally. If Conor would have got his second win, and I told people before the fight, they're like, "Oh, Conor knocks him out. It'll be the first 3 rounds." I said, I agree. I thought it was the first 2. I thought the third round, Conor would be slowing down. Anyway, I said the last thing I'd worry about with Floyd is the 12th round. I said when he stands there and he knows this is his last minute, he's going to be open. And if Conor is smart and he can just get to that moment where Floyd starts throwing haymakers and he knows he can't hurt him, Conor unleashes the biggest punches he can throw. You know what I'm saying? And that would be me guessing that Floyd was going to try to give the crowd something they didn't have. You know what I'm saying? That's when I thought something bad could happen. So the TKO, I think, saved that situation from going down. Because Conor's a big dude. They're trying to talk about his power, but I think that he has a little bit of power. I think that he definitely had enough pop, but I don't know if he would still have power. When you start getting around to the 12th round, he might have been just too tired.
Well, this is my thing.
I didn't think Conor had a second wind in him.
This is my thing. I don't think Conor McGregor throws a punch any harder than Canelo throws a punch.
Oh, definitely.
So I'm not.
Canelo never connected with Floyd either. In fact, Conor uppercuts probably connected cleaner than anything Canelo threw.
Oh shit! I was so excited when that first one landed. The first one,
Canelo was played straight into the Floyd machine. I mean, Floyd put him in the Philly shell. I mean, when you look at that and you see him doing that, I mean, Conor didn't have to try to get through that. Other than that, only time I saw Floyd really go into it is when he gave him his back and he had to cover up the back of his head. I thought that was good. When I saw Floyd push Conor in the 5th round, like physically push him in the chest, at that point I knew that Floyd knew he was tired and he didn't care no more. I could tell right then. I was like, he wouldn't have did that if he was still worried about Conor McGregor. Once he pushed him, I said, okay, now Floyd's about to take over. But overall, like you said, it was an entertaining fight. It's been a long time since a Floyd fight has been entertaining. It's been a long time since there's been a boxing match that so many people watched and were entertained by. The question is, do those people that were entertained, do they stick with boxing? Or do they just follow Conor over to the UFC? And that's what we're going to find out. You know what I'm saying? Was again, or was Conor McGregor entertaining? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm really curious to find out, man. But I've enjoyed my time here in the China shop.
I feel like there's just too many people taking or not taking risks in boxing. There's too many people playing the safe game, trying to play the defensive game, and it's just not exciting.
What about the big boy? What about Anthony Joshua?
That's every time he fights, I'm watching for sure because he tries to take the technique. Sometimes is a little cringeworthy, but the power that he hits people with is it's like he's trying to remove their head from their body.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
He's a monster.
So every time he fights, I'm definitely watching. Every time, I would rather see Triple G fight than Canelo fight, but I think that Canelo Triple G fight is going to be dope. I'm definitely going to watch that. And honestly, like we were talking earlier, other than Conor, the UFC is going to be struggling to make some super fight type situations in the future unless Conor's involved. So I feel like Nick Diaz needs to come back. Nick Diaz needs to come back. I don't know why they suspended him for no fucking reason. He didn't even fail a test. He just didn't show up for a test. So he's suspended 2 years.
What did he get suspended for?
I don't know all the details, but they sent people to give him a test, and he refused to take the test. And then on the last time he fought, he tested positive for marijuana while he was on fight day or something. I don't know all the details. I'm sure somebody will educate me. But I think that he needs to come back because he's awesome. I think George St. Pierre coming back to fight Michael Bisping is going to be a good fight.
How old is George, though? How old is he?
Probably close to Floyd Mayweather's age.
Okay, all right. And you think that he has a shot? A funny fact about Michael Bisping, he's one of the first interviews I did when I got onto the Bully World Radio type thing. Michael Bisping was one of the first interviews that I got when we were doing the MMA nights.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was, nor if he was important, but he had an accent and it was kind of cool.
That motherfucker only has one eye. Like his one eye, the retina is detached and it's full of some sort of fluid to keep it from getting damaged until he's done fighting so they can reattach it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So who do you got in that fight?
Oh, I got Michael Bisping. I don't listen. If there's a Englishman or a Scottish, anyone from Britain, if they're fighting, I don't bet against them. Like if they're like it's hard for me to bet against Canelo because he's Mexican,
Right.
Because Mexicans can fight, Irish people can fight, English people can fight, Scottish people. I mean, those people can fight, Like Russians, I'm not. If there's a Russian involved, I'm not betting against the Russian guy. I just. I mean, that sounds like pretty fucked up, but that's how I roll. I mean, I just can't. No, but
you can't go against that, huh?
In
the way you're doing it.
In all
not rolling in the other corner against the Russian.
But in all seriousness, though, I did gain a lot of respect for Floyd Mayweather. I'm still not a fan, but I'm not opposed anymore either. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's I tell people, and that's the thing that got me. Because, everyone's like, well, you like Conor? I was like, oh, I don't have no problem with Conor. I was like, I think Conor is one of the most entertaining fighters that we have. And I've always liked a fighter that can talk. I've always thought that. Talk that shit. Because you're doing something that you got to believe you're the best. And I don't believe that you have to be humble in MMA. I don't think you have to be humble in boxing. Because guess what? If you're not, you will get humbled real fast. You know what I'm saying? So you have every right not to be, because an overhand right, a rear naked choke, an arm bar, anything can humble you. So, you decide how you want to carry yourself outside of the ring.
But look how he reacts after he loses, though. That's the thing I love the most. Like, all the other bullshit aside, that twice that man has lost in front of the whole world, And both times he nodded, shook his hand, gave respect, and took it on the chin like a fucking grown up. Like, I got all the respect in the world for that.
Yeah, he does. He does. I mean, Conor is. I think that his legacy is not yet written, so it's gonna be interesting to see as it continues to grow.
Oh, I think he's only got 2 fights, bro.
And become.
I think he's only got 2 more fights. It's over.
You say 2 more fights, and then Conor McGregor is gone.
I think 1 more MMA fight and 1 more boxing match, and it is over. He's going to be riding a yacht around the fucking islands, sipping on Mai Tais.
And how much do you think he's worth when he does that?
Oh, I bet half about $500 million, I'm guessing.
Conor gets to be worth $500 million. You'll never see him fight again.
That's my guess. Like, the Nate Diaz fight is probably going to be around $50 million, but he's just now opening himself up to endorsements and sponsorships.
Yeah. See, I got a prediction that getting out of the game at $300 million. He's 28 now, just turned 28.
29.
29, I'm sorry, just turned 29. I see him fighting right until he's 30, because he fights more in MMA and boxing. I think then Conor McGregor retires, and I think he comes out of retirement at about 32, 33, in about 2-3 years, comes back out because there's some new person, whether that's Gilbrand or somebody that's making enough noise to bring Conor McGregor out of retirement. And listen, Conor's going to steal Floyd's playbook. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to do it very, very well. And he's going to come out of retirement because, like, I've been hearing this young person talk, and he's going to come fight, and he's going to make a shitload of money. And that's what I foresee with Conor McGregor. But he has to beat Diaz. All of that means he has to beat Diaz. The reverse side of this is
I don't think he has to beat him.
Conor McGregor gets in the ring and he loses. I'm telling you now.
I don't think he has to beat him.
Loses in MMA, I don't care to who. It will be bad for Conor McGregor because there's just a small line between genius and clown. Okay? And he talks a lot. And losses will make him a clown. And wins will make him a genius. So he has to win. And I think if he loses, Floyd Mayweather just gave him his retirement check because he won't have any other choice.
See, I don't think he has to win that Diaz fight. I don't think because he's going to. I don't think right now. I don't know. I'm crazy, but I just see him more money focused than I don't know, winning fights focus.
Than being a champion, you think he's more focused on the money,
right? But maybe that's just the persona he wants to be put out there, and it's it's all part of the plan.
I think like socially, you come from welfare. Money is Conor's biggest motivator. I mean, this fight right here. He didn't talk about money because obviously there was no reason to talk about money with Floyd Mayweather, but Conor always talks about money in MMA. And I know that money is what moves that man. And I don't mean money so he can go buy 50 million cars. I'm talking about family legacy. A lot of people from overseas in Europe, that's what they think about, is what they're leaving their legacy, what they're leaving their children and grandchildren. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They still believe in castles and shit. So
I don't even know why that's funny. You just said the word castles and I laugh for no reason. Like, that I don't even know why that's funny, but the word castles apparently made me giggle.
Dude, I don't know why. I do know why, but this is a family show. Listen, castles, that's what they believe in. They want to build a castle, and their people inherit that shit when they die. I believe that when it comes to them. Like, hey, you are the prince of McGregorville, and this is your castle, and you get that when you die. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see the rise and fall of Conor McGregor. Let's see if that fall happens or if I'm wrong. But I'm telling you now, if he loses in MMA, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that that's going to be the end of Conor McGregor. Those losses add up. He can't do it. He's got to beat Diaz. Got to beat Diaz.
Well, either way, we got to get off this motherfucking phone. Listen, I appreciate you chopping shit up with me. This is, I think, your 4th or 5th appearance on the podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Anytime there's a random motherfucking episode,
it's always
it's live with BTK on the 9th. That's
Random.
BTK on the nines. It's just a show before a big show. Before you get to say episode 60, but before then, episode 59.
Next week is another questions from the listeners episode. So if you got everybody listening, if you have any questions for me, please get them in. I already have a list of 4 or 5, but get them in. Shoot me a private message. Email realtylumley@gmail.com. Either way, get your questions in. Bully the Cat, Christopher James, I appreciate you being on the show, brother. Always a pleasure. And congratulations on your victory, you motherfucker.
Hey, man. Appreciate it.
Even though you
Work
didn't
hard.
do
Don't say
shit.
hard work.
All work.
All right, man. Later.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Hey.
I think I just cut him off, actually. He was trying to say something, but I cut the shit off anyway. Episode 59, didn't mention dogs one time. That's how it goes some days. When you do this shit 365 days a year, and when I say this shit, I mean the dog man life. Some days you just don't feel like talking about dogs. Also, this was a big event and a special occasion. Next week, or actually Saturday, we will be right back to our regularly scheduled program, Sweet Life Saturday. That episode will be out Saturday morning. And then again, like I said, next week, episode 60 will be a questions from the listeners episode. So please email or private message your questions. On social media, you can find me at Ty Lumley on Facebook or Bull-NA-ChinaShop.com on Facebook. On Instagram, Ty_Lumley or Bull-NA-ChinaShop podcast. On YouTube, you can check out the Bull-NA-ChinaShop TV channel on YouTube. What else do we got? What other socials do we got? Twitter, Bull-ChinaShop or Bull-ChinaShop Ty, and Snapchat, Bull-NA-ChinaShop, all that stuff. If you want to see, if you need a source for all of that information, head to Bull-NA-ChinaShop.com. You can also find any and all episodes of the Bull-NA-ChinaShop podcast on the blog page of Bull-NA-ChinaShop.com. As always, I love you beautiful faces. I appreciate everybody that supports me. Chime in, man. Chime in. I don't know who you guys were backing. I don't know who you guys were supporting, but chime in who you wanted to win. If you won money, if you bet money, if not, keep it positive though, guys. These guys are, gonna go down in history as two of the greatest fighters in their respective venues of all time. So keep it respectful, keep it positive. I love your fucking faces. Episode 59 in the books. See you next week.